So our first prerequisite skill is something you've been doing since elementary school. And our goal today is I can use the Pythagorean theorem to solve the missing side of a right triangle. Okay, so that you've been doing for many, many years. The other thing we're going to look at, it'll probably be in the next video, is I can convert within the imperial and metric systems. So again, you've worked with metric systems since elementary school, but you haven't really examined them as much in high school. So we're going to take a look at both of those. Okay, so let's first of all, our lesson is review of basic measurement. Okay, so we're talking about, first of all, Pythagorean theorem. Now, in order to use the Pythagorean theorem, I need a few different things. One of the things I need is I need a right angle triangle. If I don't have a right angle triangle, then Pythagorean theorem is not something you can use. You have to go find something else. And we use it to find a side length. So you don't use it to find an angle or anything else. So what we need is obviously a right angle triangle, and so that's what I have pictured here. Okay, directly across here is our hypotenuse. We have A, we have B. See this formula in many different ways. So first of all, I always locate the hypotenuse. And if you notice, I did that right away before where I put my letter H, because hypotenuse is directly opposite of the right angle. The other thing is if I want the hypotenuse, so in other words, if I want to find that side length, I'm going to add, okay? If I have the hypotenuse, I'm going to subtract. Okay, so it makes sense. The hypotenuse is the longest side, so it makes sense that that's what you would do. And the actual Pythagorean theorem is h squared equals a squared plus b squared. Now, depending on your teacher, you may have seen it like this as well, and that is fine. That's often acceptable. I like the h squared only because it helps me remind myself that it's the hypotenuse that has to be squared. So let's look at some examples here. The first one says find the missing side. Okay, so missing side. So I have feet and I have inches here, so I've got some different things going on. So I need to look at that as well. Now, the other video we're going to look at helps us a little bit, but let's see what we can do first of all. I need to first of all have everything in like units. Now, I have inches here, and this is 2 feet 5 inches. Now, I know first of all that 2 feet is the same as 12 inches, 2 times 12. So that means this is really 24 inches, and I already have 5, so this really is 29 inches. Okay, so we started with that. Okay, so step number 1 said always identify the hypotenuse. So I need to find my hypotenuse. That's the one I need to find. So I have A and I have B. According to what I said, I want to find the hypotenuse, so I'm going to add. So when I add, first of all, I'm going to write down my little formula, a squared plus b squared. And so I have 29 squared plus 31 squared, and this is going to be a fairly large number. So I'm just pulling up my calculator here too to see what I get. And amazing, I have 1802. Obviously, that's not my side length. I have to take the square root of that. And when we do that, we end up with approximately 42.4, and it would be inches. Okay, so let's try another one now. The next one, okay, we have meters and centimeters. So again, meters, centimeters. I think I'm going to change my centimeters to meters, so that means there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So this is really 0.2 meters. And now again, I need to identify my hypotenuse. Here's my right angle this time. So there's my H. So it means I need to find one of the others. So I have the hypotenuse, so I know I'm going to subtract. So I have A squared this time equals H squared minus B squared. Substituting our information in, notice that the 0.5 is larger than the 0.2. Again, we bring out our calculator and we actually do the calculation at this point, and we end up with 0.2. And that is not, remember, the side length. We have to take the square root of that. And when we take the square root of it, we end up with approximately 0.46 roughly. And remember, that's going to be meters. And one more example. All right, so this time we have both of them are in feet, so life is good. First thing I need to do is label, so I have hypotenuse, and it doesn't matter which is A and which is B. Again, I want to find the side that's not the hypotenuse, so I know it's going to be A squared equals the hypotenuse squared minus the other side squared. And when I do that, 21 squared minus 15 squared. So, and up comes our calculator again. And we're subtracting, so we end up with 216. Take the square root of that, and we end up with approximately 14.7, and it will be feet. Okay, so that gives you a kind of an idea of review of Pythagorean theorem, and next video we'll be reviewing of metric system and imperial.